It's really who is that one landmark lighthouse account that you bring on that grabs the attention of everyone else. It drives press, it drives investors, and it also drives more customers and prospects. We decided that the best partner would be one of the top e-commerce players. We couldn't work with Amazon. We found a company. We got very strategic with them, understanding what their challenges were, what their problems were, and we created a custom account for them. We kicked off a very strong strategic relationship that ended up bringing us dozens of additional companies, both on the partner side and on the customer paying side.
Joining me today is Keith Newman. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Tell us about yourself and what GTM Firm does, and then we'll jump straight into how you've got your first paying client.
It's great to be here. Look, I love talking about GTM overall, which people refer to typically as go to market. We call at the GTM Firm, it's get the money. We look for select companies. We're very open-minded, but very selective when it comes to selecting clients that we work with. Very focused on what are your financial goals, what are their key milestones, and then we work backwards and figure out how to help you hit those.
Jumping right into it, how and where did you get your first paying client?
First paying clients are always a challenge. Now, there's the ones that are what I call your crash test dummies and your family and friends. But if we separate out all of that, it's really who is that one landmark lighthouse account that you bring on that grabs the attention of everyone else. It drives press, it drives investors, it drives competitors, and it also drives more customers and prospects. We identified in this e-commerce space, we were working on, for example, a company that had a data solution that helped normalize all of this data across the entire e-commerce platform to help companies identify how their sales were doing by particular accounts, by particular products against competition in a real-time reporting environment. And then we decided that the best partner would be one of the top e-commerce players. We couldn't work with Amazon. We found a company. We got very strategic with them, understanding what their challenges were, what their problems were, and we created a custom account for them. We gave them a unique view into the market and what was working, what was selling, what wasn't, and then they gave us their data that helped us populate all these reports that we were able to create. It was a 6-7 figure deal over time. It included some investments into our business, and we kicked off a very strong strategic relationship that ended up bringing us dozens of additional companies, both on the partner side and on the customer paying side.
What did you charge, and was it hard to ask for it?
It was hard because it was a lot of money given where we're at. I have to give credit to our CEO who shows no lack of ferocity when it comes to going after big game. It was a 7-figure deal and we hadn't done a 6-figure deal. We jumped over the hurdle there and actually were very fortunate to get that agreement in place. But also I think the lesson is don't be afraid to ask for what you think you deliver in terms of value. And we weren't hesitant because we knew we were giving them 10x the value in return for what we were asking for.
And so, go further into that. How did you land on that number to go from a 6-figure and ask for a 7-figure?
We knew what it would take from a tech perspective to spend the boots on the ground to understand everything and then deliver from a services standpoint, what it would take to deliver all the data and the reporting to the company and their clients. We backed out what that cost would be and then the value that it represented and came up with a nice round figure.
Did you think that they were going to say no?
We didn't think no, but we thought there would be a negotiation. And of course there was, but it was a friendly one that took a little bit of arm wrestling, but we ultimately got it down to where we were both happy.
Going into that negotiation, what goes to your mind to mentally prepare for something like that?
Where do you want to get to? What's your walk away? If you know your walk away and what you need, it makes it pretty easy.
In that negotiation, how did the conversation look like?
This was unique in the sense that it included equity and some other key metrics. We broke it down into parts and that we had to perform to get paid, and we perform and get paid, perform, get equity, perform, hit bonuses. And that made it a little bit more convoluted and it required a few legal turns. It's part of the business.
What were the objections you faced?
Well, because we were doing something that hadn't been done before, there was a little bit of technical due diligence and proof that we could do it. So we had to step up and show that we could do the reporting that was required, that it was going to be as accurate. There was a level of QA involved in that process too. But once we hit those hurdles, checked those boxes, it was onto the negotiation side.
Is there anything that almost caused the deal to fail?
Yes, looking back on time and yes, sir, with all big deals, there's always a couple of these gotchas where is it about the technology? Is it about the delivery and the support? Is it about, there's a scalability question in a lot of times in these deals. So we had to check all of those boxes, and it did take a fair amount of work to make sure we were able to successfully deliver on all of those marks.
Looking back, what mattered far more than you thought it would, and what mattered far less?
I think you can underestimate when you start to understand deal terms. That becomes the easy part. Delivering success to the client and what that means has to be really well documented upfront versus on the fly, because then all things start to change. I have different expectations in 6 months than I do for today. So we got to document those things up front and then deliver against those. And then we can revisit them and upgrade them as time goes on. But to get started, you need to have a really clear picture of what you're going and what you're able to deliver.
How many no's did you get before that first yes, and how long did it take?
I don't hear no's that often. I kid you. You hear no's, but if you really are well prepared and you've got answers, then those become objections, which are opportunities to discuss more and get to learn more about what's required, what's needed to hit that success number, what the customer's goals are, what they need to get out of an agreement. And through objections, that's how you get all that uncovered. As you grow and you understand the challenges and the value, things get smoother in terms of the deal points and the negotiating points and the key deliverables. Things start to slow down. But the first time, there are many decision makers, a lot of frogs you have to kiss before you find the one prince who's ready to sign off on the deal. But it turned out it was a CEO who said, yes, it's time to do this. And we did it. And everybody got what they wanted.
Looking back, why do you think they chose you over anyone else?
We provided a unique service. We had something that nobody else could do at the level we were doing it. Differentiation really helped us, but we were also dogged in terms of our focus to get it done.
After that first client, how did you get the next few?
You promote that first account really well, both using sales motions and marketing motions. That helps a lot, both in terms of awareness, but also in terms of demand gen and just using that as part of a sequence. The other thing to keep in mind too is that when you get one major customer, it makes you a lot better as an organization because you start to understand what is required of each and every level of the organization, each and every department, what they are required to deliver. We got better as a team and started to perform more efficiently.
How does it feel when you can tell the business is getting more efficient? How do you know when you got something good?
Yeah. Instead of sitting there trolling for fish with one line in the water, you feel like you got 10 lines in the water. Or as I joke, sometimes the fish are jumping out of the boat. And there's a theory I have, which is a momentum theory, which is you're listening to the marketplace. And when they start calling more than you're calling out, that's a good sign. And little things like that. Are they asking you buying questions? Are they asking you generic questions? It gets to a bunch of levels in what I would consider the buying process.
What do you works consistently and what doesn't work consistently to get more clients?
Companies have developed expectation that early stage companies are going to have some challenges, both in terms of technology and delivery. But you've got to assure them that you understand that you can deliver over time, and that you're going to do your best to make sure you meet and exceed expectations. And if you can get that point across, you're in a really good position. So treat every sale, especially early on, if not forever, as strategic to you. Like, do not lose this account. Like, it's your child. Like, don't lose your child. Don't lose your account. Treat them super special. Yes, there'll be some bumps along the road. Build that into your discussion. Get it done. Maybe you start with a trial. Maybe you start with a small agreement and ratchet it up. But build faith, build confidence, build trust, and go from a foundation of that versus, I just signed a big deal, hand it over to support or an FDE or something to go service that. Manage it to the point where they're saying enough. We don't need to see you anymore. Or this is great. Make sure you have that confidence.
Taking a step back, what were you doing before this and what made you walk away to build it?
Well, I've started my own companies. I've worked for large companies and I've done a lot of startup companies as an executive. And having done all of that, I felt like I was in a pretty good place to step out of the startup role and work as a consultant advising other startups. The GTM firm, like I said, we're very selective in terms of who we work with. You got to have a product that works, not necessarily ramping yet, but something that has the potential to really ramp and scale. And we evaluate that. And then we are in a position we think uniquely qualified to help you find that next customer, that next partner that'll help you really grow and exceed your goals and hit those key milestones and grow. And that's what we're looking to do. Empower a whole bunch of the next generation of cool startups.
And how did you come up with the idea?
Well, the people I work with now, Bobby and John and Mike and Ben and all my team members are all passionate. They love what they do and they really like working with early stage companies, and they've got great relationships themselves. We all take turns bringing in new businesses, helping develop strategies, driving the tactics and the success metrics. And there's nothing more fun than working with founders that get to experience the feeling of success of their own baby, their own baby hitting a home run or scoring a touchdown or a goal. It's fun to watch. You feel like a proud parent in that picture.
At what point did you know it was going from idea to, I'm going to launch this? I'm going to start this.
Yeah, the good thing, before we put our shingle out as the GTM firm, we had a lot of successful engagements where we had numerous successful clients that a lot of them led to successful M&A exits. So then we just decided to come together and put this together as a team. And that's really been a lot of fun last few years.
And so walk me through what you did on day one.
Day one, everyone has a little bit of an idea in terms of what they want to build and how they want to describe things. So we have to work our way through that. But that was a fairly easy exercise. We did it backwards too. We had customers that wanted to already work with us. We had that in place. And then we put the website up and started posting about, we're building this new thing. If you want help with your startup and you need to accelerate and find the right customers and the right partners and the best GTM strategy, let's have a chat. We chat with 10 companies a week sometimes. But really, sharing that information is something we enjoy doing. Locking in on a customer relationship, we're very selective about, though.
Did you need any money to start, or could anyone start this from zero?
Anyone could start it with zero, but I advise a few other consulting companies, and I find that it's always good when they've got one in the oven. In other words, they've got a customer already or one that's coming on board soon or they expect to, because that gives you a running start. Versus I build the shingle and I start to then try to hustle for business. You can start consulting anytime. But I think the challenge is your ability to tell a compelling story, to give people confidence that you can deliver that unique value, and then how you continue to leverage that story into the marketplace across your market or your ICP. And then how you begin to leverage your network in a unique way to really deliver that result.
First-time founders can be very passionate about their ideas and want to run things themselves. Would you recommend to first-time founders to try to work with an agency or to bootstrap and try to do it their own way?
Well, it depends on the founder's skills and experience. If I'm a first-time founder, I would consult them to be very honest about what their strengths are and where their weaknesses are and build a team around you. We were joking earlier about basketball. I like Victor Wembanyama. He could have a great game in basketball, but he can't win the game by himself, right? He has to have a bunch of other players contributing, passing, rebounding, scoring. So put yourself around a bunch of other players that complement your strength. And whether you're a great technical person, right? Are you going to be the one responsible for the marketing? Are you also going to run sales? Are you going to run lead gen? Are you going to be doing the pitches? Are you going to run advertising? Are you going to run on and on and on, right? Legal, HR, finance. So put that team around you and continue to find people as good as you are in your role or better. Continue to do that. And not hiring full-time can sometimes give you a speed advantage. You're probably aware how long it takes to go find a great person in the marketplace today. Depending on where you are and what the role is, it can be weeks, it could be months, and it can be over a year. You can't afford to waste time, even though you think you're a great founder and you might have a few people that you think you can sell. It's going to take longer than you think, and you're going to need help driving that business more likely than not.
When you started, did you have any marketing plans in place?
We developed them. But we develop them on a custom basis based on the market, based on the customers we're targeting or working with.
And so at what point did you think that this was becoming a real business?
We had that same momentum that We would go to a trade show and people were asking to meet with us, fill in our calendars, or we were getting a lot of inbound attention also. That aside, I think it's just knowing that we can put together strategy that really helps companies. And now that we've taken a bunch over the finish line through exits, but also just helping them on 6-month contracts, getting them to that next milestone or two, and them writing us and telling us how great the relationship was is super rewarding.
Do you think trade shows are a good experience for founders to go to?
Great question. I love talking about this stuff. If you do it right, it starts with picking the right event, then having the right presence at the event. Maybe it's a booth, maybe it's a talk, maybe it's being across the street at a bar. I don't really have a set play that I run. It depends what you're trying to accomplish, but having that strategy going to that event. A lot of people are going to events today, and a lot of events are doing very well at attracting big audiences. But what would be worse, going to a big party with 7,000 people and not leaving with anything, right? That'd be a huge bummer. A lot of companies do that. They don't really know what they got. They went for 3 days, they spent the money, they got a bunch of business cards and handshakes and LinkedIn profiles. But in terms of real business, what's the ROI? Always keep that in mind. Always understand what you're trying to get accomplished and measure that yourself. Be honest with yourself, and really starts with having a good plan.
Do you use AI in your day to day? And if so, which AI tools do you use and how do you use them?
We've developed some of our own stuff, and we use some, obviously, LLMs and other common tools. We use it in all areas of the business. It helps us, but it's only a support tool for us today. It's not our lead gen. It's not our advertising person. Our focus and strategy and relationships and the creativity that we can bring to the table that I think are the key differentiators. It sure is tempting to think I can go create a bunch of agents and not have to hire a bunch of 6-figure salaries around the block and keep my head count burn low. But the phrase that resonates with me really well is the human in the middle or human in the loop. And I think that's important because you're talking about motions that are not generic. Like for certain administrative tasks, we use AI, but for coming up with creative campaigns, AI plays a support role, not a lead role.
If you had to start over from zero today, what would you do in the first 7 days knowing what you know now?
I would do a little bit more homework in terms of understanding what the white space was in the marketplace, what was missing, rather than just relying on intuition. Spend time talking to 50 people that would be potential prospects for you and understand what they need, that they see something missing. And out of that, identify a handful of them that could be customers and start to talk to them in that context and see if you can't bring 1 or 2 of them in before you make a huge commitment to start a new business. And it's almost like any kind of market requirement effort, right? Go interview the person who's going to use this, who needs it the most, and understand that you really are going to develop a set of features that meet that requirement.
Any final thoughts you want to leave for people still trying to get their first client?
I consult on this on a regular basis, and founders often say they understand how hard the journey is, but then they're surprised at what it really takes to go land that business and deliver that results of a customer wow in that first or second customer experience, and then continue to repeat that motion and scale that motion. Give it time, be patient, realize it's hard work, realize it takes a lot of grit, but that pays off. That determination, that hard work will pay off. And there's no greater reward than something you've created that you see helping tens, hundreds, thousands of other people. And that's what the startup journey is all about.
Links to GTM Firm are in the description below. Keith, had a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time.